We're live, so I'll go ahead and introduce the show. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Baitman Live, and back with me is Mr. On 'em, Matt Robertson, who was 100% on 'em last week to Harris Chain Lakes in Florida, and he won a little derby that got him to the Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about his victory and talk about his preparations for the Classic, which is in one of my favorite towns, Knoxville, Tennessee. Could be interesting if the Vols are in March Madness.
Yep, it could be real interesting.
Yeah, it'd be more exciting to watch you in the Classic than our football team, I promise you that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I have a little device here. If you haven't been on social media or paid attention to iCast, this is the RTD, the rod threading device by Erupt Fishing, and my buddy Kelly Jordan, former Bassmaster Elite Series Pro and FLW Pro, now part of Major League Fishing. He helped invent this, and this thing's pretty cool. You can string your line on your poles almost instantly. Man, we got a lot of people joining in. Be sure to share this video on your timeline. Give it a thumbs up. And I got a few other things I'll talk about real quick, and we're going to get started with Matt. I'm sorry I haven't been posting videos in a while. I've just been really busy at work, and that's about it. Hopefully I'll get on that, and I'm really tired of using the cell phone, so I'm getting some equipment up. We're going to go big time with the webcast, and I'm going to set this thing up with a couple microphones. That way I don't have to sit in people's lap and stuff. I mean, Matt probably won't care if I sit in his lap. But so what I plan on doing is making a new time for Baitman Live, and it's going to have a new name, and it's going to be called the Baitcast. Still same premise, and then I'm going to do Tackle Tuesday on YouTube pretty exclusively, and then we're going to do a sports and fishing webcast. So probably 3 webcasts a week, and I hope everybody likes it. And some guys have been asking me about the Jaints t-shirts that I designed. It's coming back. I swapped computers and lost my artwork. I just happened to find it this morning, backed up on a drive, and I'm going to get that going again. So if you got t-shirt ideas for Jaints, let me know. But I always have the original one available. So we're going to get into it with Matt right here. Welcome everybody again. So Matt, how does it feel to be qualified for the Bassmaster Classic?
Man, it's really exciting. I really don't know if it's sunk in yet. I think it will once we get closer. Going down to pre-practice in the morning. The lake's off limits after January 1st. And I think once it gets closer, it'll start to sink in a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm still in that calm, collected mode. There's still work to be done, so...
How quick is your cell phone battery dying every day?
It's getting wore out. It's right. Unbelievable, the support. I want to thank everybody for all the text messages, calls. I mean, everything. I appreciate every one of you.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched Bass Track. I'm sure most of you guys that follow bass fishing tournaments, y'all watch Bassmaster Bass Track, and I'm always picking out my favorite anglers. It was totally different when I'm watching it and Matt's on top of the leaderboard, and I'm like, yeah, he's got a pound lead, then it's 3 pounds, then it's 5 pounds, and then Matt's friend and one of my friends, Eric Sharp, we're texting back and forth, and he's like blowing them out of the water. This is the craziest thing, but it was really cool to see Matt do that. Tell everybody, someone made a comment on my page, how you even got to that point to get to, what do they call it, is it the Federation Classic bracket?
It's the Federation Team Trail, and you got to qualify for the championship, and the championship was on Kentucky Lake this year, and me and Wendell came down here, and we came in second. We actually caught 19 pounds in the last 10 casts. Didn't have nothing before that. Got in there last minute, just like we did the last day down at the Harris Chain. So. Man, guys, if you want a chance to go to the Classic, check out the Federation. It's really a good opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, and the Federation is really built on the working man, blue collar, hometown guys getting their shot to compete with the best in the world. But now there's going to be people that think Matt Robertson could be one of the best in the world.
I don't know about that.
I think we're going to find out, though.
Yeah, I'm happy to get the opportunity, to fish against those guys and really give it a shot.
So, you got a lot of people that stuck with you for the years. One thing I know, you have a great relationship with Sherbert Van Meter down there at Renegade Marine, Triton Boats. I'm fished against you in the Triton tournament. I know Jeff Defe's fished against you a lot in that thing. Y'all always seem to be in the top 10. Anybody else that's helped you out you want to talk about?
Other than Renegade Marine, Triton Boats, Mercury Motors, Scottsboro Tackle Company. I've been throwing their swim baits for years. Locally, before this, I've tried to keep it under wraps a little bit.
He has. I haven't said anything.
I think a little bit of word may have got out, a few times, but I've been throwing their baits for probably 5 years now, and those swim baits, man, they will catch them. And don't be scared to throw that 7-inch swim bait. It's a hammer.
So let's talk about the guy from Scottsboro Tackle Company, Tim Evans, really nice guy. He messaged me the first day of the Classic Fish Off and says, "Do you know Matt Robertson?" And I said, "Well, of course, yeah, I know him. We're pretty good friends." And he sends me a picture of Matt lipping a bass, and there he is at 7-inch Scottsboro hanging out of its mouth. And I said, "Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. He's been throwing for a while. He doesn't say a whole lot." And he said, "Well, I'll get him taken care of." Now, my question is, Matt, typically in Florida, most guys do not rig a swim bait with an exposed jig head. And a lot of guys ask me, "Hey, do you know why Matt is rigging it like that?" So I'm going to let you answer that question.
Yeah, typical Florida fishing, I'd tell you to rig it with a weedless hook, like a belly hook, and because you're fishing grass. But we weren't fishing grass down there. We had found some open water fish on a hard spot, and the reason that I was throwing a 1-ounce jig head, and a lot of people would wonder, why are you throwing a 1-ounce jig head in 10 foot of water? Because it's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And my theory is behind it, I always want the fish to react to a bait. I don't want to wait for them to decide to bite it. So that 1-ounce jig head, I was throwing on a 7-gear ratio reel, and that enabled me to bring it across the bottom faster. I try to keep it within a second or two of the bottom, and that bait's really moving, and whenever those fish see that big swim bait, they don't have time to think, "Oh, should I eat this?" or "Oh, should I not?" They get on its tail and they choke it.
Right. That's it. That's definitely interesting. I agree with that. I think sometimes that swim bait bite's a reaction bite.
Yeah.
There's always a time and place for, especially the winter time here on this lake, just creeping it and moving along the bottom. But what was the water temperature there in Florida?
It was 66. Whenever we got there, it was actually in the low 70s, but it crept down to 66. It didn't really seem to affect the fish that much. I had heard the cold front would really shut it down. I think the depth of the fish really helped. It wasn't, I think your typical Florida fishing, is 0 to 6 feet, and we were fishing 9, 10, 11 foot deep. So
now, one thing I'm just trying to go through what people was asking me. Guys like, "Man, he's doing that big old swim bait on that ducky rod. It looks like it has a lot of bend to it." And I said, "Well, I don't think he loses that many fish." And I've always been of the belief I would like my swim bait rod to have some kind of parabolic bend. I think lets them eat that bait a little bit. So
yeah, it's not a broomstick from the reel to the tip. It doesn't have a fast action. It's like a nice moderate bend to the whole thing. It's an extra heavy rod, but it bends more. And I'll be honest with you, you got to set the hook pretty hard. You get out there on a long cast and you got a 1-ounce head, and that fish comes up jumping. If you don't stick it to it, and put you back into it, it will throw that heavy bait. It's a lot of plastic, a lot of head, and
you think that the 7-1 reel helps you get the line in a little bit faster and keep that fish pinned once you set the hook?
Yeah, it does. It helps you with keeping it the right amount off the bottom. I'm telling you, the key to swim bait fishing is keeping it 1 to 2 seconds off the bottom. whenever you're throwing a lead head swim bait. And it helps you keep that consistency. Whenever you set the hook on a long cast, it helps you catch up some of that, extra line out there. And it's imperative that you throw a 7-gear ratio reel.
That's definitely interesting. I kind of agree with that. I'll throw plenty on an exposed hook, and I like to tick the bottom every now and then, but for the most part, I think you're catching a lot of fish that you're going to miss with some bottom dragging lures because a lot of your bites are coming from bass that are suspended off the bottom. Now let's talk about another bait. Since this is the Baitman show, we got to talk about the baits a little bit. And I got one behind me, and I believe you told me, was it this one that you caught a lot of fish on, and there wasn't a whole lot of press behind it?
Yeah, I caught the fish on the last day. 4 of the fish I weighed in was on the Spro Little John DD70. If you read it in the article, I really rednecked it up and called it the Spro Big John. I throw the Spro Little John in the spring a lot, and it's great crankbait. And I just assumed it's called the Spro Big John, but no, it's the Spro Little John. It's a DD70. That last morning, I caught him on a spinner bait and a swim bait. I caught my first 5 on it, and then the camera guy left. And I was waiting for the sun to get out from behind the clouds. And whenever it finally peaked out, the little ripple stopped on the water, and it slicked up. And I looked at my co-angler, and I told him, or my marshal, and I told him, I said, man, I'm fixing to catch one on this. I said, I ain't threw it out there all week. And on my first cast, I caught a 7-pounder.
Jeez.
And a couple casts later, I lost a 7-pounder. And I mean, this bait right here is what really did it for me.
Now, so Spro baits always come with Gamakatsu hooks. Do you just keep the stock hooks on there, or do you change them out or anything?
No, I kept the stock hooks on there, and they did me a good job. I lost that one big one, but I caught 2 other 7-pounders on it and a 6. So
Jeez.
The stock hooks did a great job for me. I can't complain about it. I was actually throwing this bait on, I know y'all are going to kill me for this, but I was throwing it on 20-pound fluorocarbon.
Really?
We had been fishing grass, and I was throwing on an 8-foot rod with a 7-gear ratio reel, and I know that's high gear ratio for throwing a big crankbait, right. But we had been fishing grass with the trap. And I just thought, I'll just try it. I actually tied on the one that dives about 10 to 12 foot, and it wouldn't hit bottom with the 20-pound test, so I just tied on the bigger one.
Right.
And I just slow rolled it through there with that 7-gear ratio reel. I would recommend going with a 5.
Yeah.
Don't do what I did, but that was the setup on the crankbait.
That's pretty awesome. I like that, and it doesn't bother me at all. You said 20-pound fluorocarbon, because I'm thinking you can up your line size on a crankbait, and you can take a bait that dives. This bait dives, it says to 20 foot. Well, going with that 20-pound fluorocarbon, he basically said, I'm only going to make this thing dive to about 12, 14 feet.
And it worked great. Man, I can't believe it myself. I mean, if you'd have told me, I wouldn't have believed you, but it worked ideal. And I didn't have to worry about breaking my line. That was a real abrasive bottom. I don't know if it was shell. I think it was a combination of shell and rock, but, one thing you always worry about your line breaking, and with that 20-pound test, Sunline, you didn't have to worry about it. Right.
And believe it or not, I think this is one of the most underrated deep diving crankbaits. The guys that know about this bait, they buy them. And then there's a lot of guys, they love the Little Johns and the Little John MD, but you never see them have this bait tied on. It's not real loud, doesn't have a big knocking action or anything. It casts really good, but it's kind of like a deep diving flat side.
It is, and I think a fish get accustomed to seeing certain crankbaits out there, and this is something, if you haven't tried it, grab one, try it. You won't be disappointed. You will, you'll increase your catch, I promise you.
Now, have you thrown this one? I'm just going to go random ass, and you may have, and you don't want to talk about it, but this is the Super DD60, and this is like the 20 to 25 foot diver. Is this something you throw out here on the Tennessee River quite a bit?
Yeah, I have tried it. I haven't had as much success on it as it's not because of the lure, it's just because I haven't gave it a chance as I would a 10XD or a big Z-Boss. You know, it's hard to get away from those. niche baits. And
when you got confidence in something too, it's hard to get away from it. Now, we got a couple questions here. Ryan Varner, what's your opinion on using 50-pound braid to crank with?
Man, I do not like using braid to crank. The only time I would recommend using braid at all to crank is if you're throwing a trap in grass, or if you're some type of grass fishing. If you're open water fishing, I would not. Me personally, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I have thrown like a braid to a fluorocarbon leader.
Yeah,
and I like that. Fishing grass, Gunnersville, Rayburn, Toledo Bend, places like that. I think throwing a crank or trap on braid's definitely the way to go. But different strokes, different folks.
That's right.
And if the bass are biting your lure, I don't really think it matters. Just get them in the boat. Matt Bronner wants to know, did you use any Zebco line?
Guys, I know I'm going to disappoint you on this one. Me and Wendell started out with the Zebco line, and like I said, there's a lot of grass fishing. If you go to Florida, you have to try it, and you have to do it. And the fluorocarbon with the less stretch, it really helps on ripping baits out of grass, and it enables you to get a better hook set in the grass. So we had 20-pound sunline on every rod.
Yeah, I've always been a big sunline fan. You're just using the regular sniper.
Yeah. We actually had sniper on a couple poles, and we had a big spool sugar we spooled off of. So both of them's real good line.
Yeah, I've been a fan of that stuff for a long time. And I'll be honest, I flipped with like 15-pound sunline just because it's all I had. I mean, that stuff holds up good.
Oh, it does, man. Just make sure you don't have no nicks in your line, because fluorocarbon, it'll. The only thing about fluorocarbon, it tends to break more, and that's because it's. I'm gonna say it's a harder line, and whenever you get that nick, something harder will tend to break more versus something soft like monofilament. So just keep a closer eye.
Right.
But man, whenever you get up around 20-pound, you don't have to worry about it. It's whenever you get down to your 10 and 12s, really keep an eye out on your line.
Yeah, mono's got enough stretch. It's hard to explain, but when mono breaks, it's because you're stretching it so much and it gets warm and it just gets too thin. Fluorocarbon tends to kind of break off, almost shatter. Like if you get a really bad backlash, which I have done plenty of times, and you look at it, the ends are like split ends and stuff, and it gets real hot and shatters. So, I like I said, there's lots of good fluorocarbon out there. I've always been a fan of Sunline. Kelly Albert with Canine Fishing, he makes good line. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the tournament, Matt. You go down to Florida. I know you went down there to practice with Wendell, but how did you figure out, and I know the answer, but how did you figure out those fish were there? Were you using your electronics? Because most guys, they're going to fish the grass or they're going to go to shell beds.
Yeah, we found them with our electronics, and even whenever we were grass fishing, we could actually idle over the grass, and you'd see cuts in the grass and little pockets, and we could actually graft the fish in the grass. And we tried fishing some without being able to see fish in the grass on our graphs, and we just wouldn't catch anything. So we just stuck to our guns, and we graphed, and we decided to get away from the grass a little bit. And we were graphing just like back home here on Kentucky Lake, and we idled over it, and I told him, I said, man, there's a school bass, and they weren't little dots, man. It was those big ones. I told him, man, they're big. So
did you ever think, man, those might be baby alligators?
I'm telling you, they's big enough. They look big enough on the screen to be a baby alligator.
Yeah, I haven't got to fish in Florida that much. I used to film a little bit, but it was always a grass deal. Hunter Redner, did you throw any other big swim baits down there?
Man, no, I didn't. The last 30 minutes of the day, I did yank out a 10-inch Huddleston just to see.
That'd been awesome.
I just wanted to put it out there. Wendell was yelling at me. He's like, get out the big swim bait. I was like, all right, baby, I'll pull it out. Let's see what happens. I tell you, I wished I would have tied on a Depths 250 hindsight, just because of the way the fish were reacting. But I didn't have much time left by the time we thought about it. And but I really think I could have caught one on a big glide bait.
What bait store took care of you when you were in Florida?
Booker's Bait and Tackle. It's right there in Leesburg. Man, I'm going to tell you, me and Wendell went in there.
Yeah.
And there's a guy there that's from Richmond, and he lives down there now. And those guys, I mean, from day one, treated me and Wendell like family.
That's
awesome.
Awesome.
They was like, man, you want something to drink? Go in there, get something out of the fridge. And we'd go in there every day and talk to him for at least an hour.
Wow.
And we went back after we won and everything and visited and had a little celebration. And
That's awesome.
Awesome group of guys.
That's one part I like about going out of town, going to different lakes. I love going in the local tackle shops. Sometimes I'll find baits that are awesome at home and you can't find because everyone buys them out and they're like, yeah, we can't even give these away. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take them from you. And just seeing the different variety of stuff, and there's always seems to be good camaraderie in most of the tackle shops, whether it's here on Kentucky or Barkley Lakes or anywhere else. Everybody's there for the same reason. They like to catch fish. Some people like to catch jaints like Matt here. So let's look about the future here. You've basically got, 2.5 weeks and off limits. What are so where the tournament is on? Is it Fort Loudon?
Yeah, Fort Loudon, Tellico. And man, I think it's going to be a little bit different from here. The river system, I would think it would compare to below the dams here, and that's okay. I'm probably going to focus on Fort Loudon and Tellico. It's my understanding that's where more of the offshore fishing is. I'm going to try to tap into some of that. And I'm really excited about it. It's the Tennessee River. Y'all know my background on the Tennessee River. I don't have to tell you, and that's what makes me even more excited. And I'm going to be leaving in the morning. I'm going to cut out of here about 4:30 and get down there, fish right up till Christmas, come back, and maybe go back for a few more days. I'm going to put in my time, put in every minute I can, and be ready for March.
So Matt, he's got the Facebook page, Matt Robertson Fishing. Did you get your Instagram started up?
Yeah, I got my Instagram. It's _fishing. Go like it, guys. Follow me. I appreciate every one of you more than you can imagine.
I'm going to try to train Matt up on social media. So by the time he gets ready to win this Bassmaster Classic, he's going to have plenty of followers. What I'm going to do tonight, too, before Matt gets out of here, I'm going to have him autograph one of these baits, a pack of 6-inch Scottsboro swim baits, and I'll probably throw some other goodies in there, and we'll do a share and like giveaway like we usually do, and we'll get a little care package. I know Tim at Scottsboro Tackle is a good dude, and
yeah,
he said, he already said, you want some baits to give away? I said, man, I hadn't had time to fish, so I got plenty hanging up. So I just want to be honest, when you how was it to be, how your nerves leading that up until the last day, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're up like, dude, you won by like, what, 15, 16 pounds?
I think it was like 25.
I was trying to be nice to the second place guy.
The second place guy's a real nice guy.
Yeah.
Part of me felt bad because I could tell deep down he wanted it, but you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
And
I would rather get beat like a drum, probably because I'm used to that, than, get beat by like 2 ounces and look at my lava and there's a dead gizzard shad in there.
Yeah. I was out there, and I have a superstition. I never add up my weight. No matter what, I do not add up my weight. I just cull, don't think about it, put it in the back of my mind, and I knew I broke it a few times. I broke my rule a few times.
Right.
And I knew I guessed about 19 pounds, and I picked up the big crankbait. It's kind of hard whenever you're culling and you're having to weigh 7-pounders. I had 2 7s, I had 2 7s, a 6 3/4, a 6, and a 5 1/4, and I did the math, and I almost knew I had it won. Anything could happen. I went in early just to make sure I got in, and man, there's not another feeling like it in the world,
Yeah, I've never fished anything at that level, but I will tell you, if you fish a team tournament, and I know you culled your own fish, the cull and net man is very important. And I try not to keep up with the weight, but when you got a bunch of big fish, it can get tough, and you can
can.
do like I did and cost you and your fishing partner $6,000 because you forget about a bass. Because I'm over here, well, this one's 5'8", this one's 5'4", and I forget about a 2-pounder. You remember that was with me and
Yep, I remember. It was out of Catawba.
because you pulled up in our boat and you're like, "Do you got them?" And I'm like, "Oh, we got about 20 pounds," and we're pulling them out of there, and you're like, "Yeah, BS, dude, you got like 24." And then Jeff goes, "Well, I don't know. I think we got too many. What's this little 15-inch you're doing in there?" And that was our 5th fish. But
Yeah, I've done that too. I haven't told a lot of people about it, but last year in the BFL I was fishing and man, I caught the wrong fish for about 3 ounces, and Ed Geddes beat me by 2 ounces, and it was my fault. I didn't think it would hurt me. I had like 25 pounds, but I've done it. So and down there, that's ever since that happened, I've been paranoid about calling the wrong fish, so I'm double checking.
Oh, yeah,
whenever you
me
go to
too.
throw a 5-pounder out. You're like, is this the right fish? And then you.
yeah, I've even watched guys on Bassmaster call the wrong fish. They'll get the balance beam out, and then the heavy one to go down, and I see them grab the other one and throw it in the live well. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, that's something I would probably do, but that's been in the back of my mind. And Jeff's like, dude, you need to quit talking about it. And I'm like, but it bothers me because, man, I'm poor. Half of that 6,000 been all right for me. Let's go through a few questions here. What's up, Chad Porter? Do you use a balance scale to cull?
No, I use a scale. It's the same scale that the Major League Fishing uses. It's a great scale. I think Brackett makes it.
Yeah.
It's really accurate. I like it. I have a balance beam in the boat just in case, but I think to me it's faster to weigh them. I got the cold balls where I put the weight on them. I weigh it, see what it is, pull that one out and swap it out versus checking a couple each time.
My buddy Jared Caesar, great guy. He wants to know. He said, "Talk about Wendell props to me." I think you should talk about Wendell. Y'all been fishing partners for a long time. He's a big supporter. He's a pretty funny dude.
He's a great guy.
Isn't he also a pro wrestler?
I'm gonna tell you something, guys. He's tough as nails. Don't nobody want any of Wendell. He'll rock your world.
Yeah.
But man, he doesn't get the credit that's due. He's a great, phenomenal fisherman. He could have went out there and won it just as easy as I could, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves. And for him doing what he did for me them last 2 days, just giving me that spot, I can't thank him enough.
Yeah,
so,
man.
he's a better man than I am because I didn't give it up to him. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, it's all on him.
And man, there's how egos are in fishing, and y'all could have very well went there and had a Haynes Lambert deal and come back, and you have to drive home with each other with bruises on your face because y'all beat each other up over a fishing spot. So props to Wendell. I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
he is a hammer. He's a good fisherman.
I'm gonna tell y'all, he them boys up at Lake Malone, they don't like it whenever he shows up.
Yeah,
because that boy can catch them.
Chad Porter says, "Ask Matt about the time I beat him."
Chad Porter beat me in a USA Bassin championship on Kentucky Lake.
Yeah.
I think he finished second. I finished third.
Yeah.
And
now that's something to brag about. I mean, I hadn't fished a tournament in a while, but I think the last one I fished with Jeff, we caught more than you, but I think about the other 50 where I've gotten beat like a potato sack that it still hasn't evened out.
Yeah, that's the thing about fishing. You can go out there and you can have those days where that's one thing you got to remember, man. Never put anybody on a pedestal. Never think that, just because they show up, oh, there's Jeff DeFew or, or anybody
Tim
shows
Griggs.
up.
We got so many hammers on Kentucky Lake. Austin Brown,
go down south. Gary Singleton, guys like that. Show up, never put anybody on a pedestal because everybody's capable of catching them better.
And I'll tell you what's cool, and what I always remember about that tournament with Jeff, it was like the best 15 minutes of ledge fishing I'd had in a long time. It's like, you throw it in there, it's like bluegill fishing. But when we showed up, Matt was the first guy to come up there and say, "How'd y'all do?" everything. And when we pull those fish out, he's the first guy to shake hands like, "Dude, I think y'all got this." And the same goes for me. If I don't go to a lot of weigh-ins because I was usually too busy. But I always want to make sure Matt does good and everything. And I think Matt's always been a good sportsman to me. We get caught up. I've not been a perfect guy at weigh-ins. Sometimes I get a little mad at myself or somebody. But I think I'm really excited for the future of Matt. I think he's learned a little bit about the business of fishing. It's not perfect, but if you win, it doesn't matter. If you catch a bunch of janks, people see that. I mean, what was your last day total?
Man, I had 31.15. Man, the biggest bag I ever weighed in, somebody mentioned it, I weighed in 33.5 pounds, and I lost a 7 and a 9 pounder. I'm guessing here, guys. I'm gonna say a 7 because I caught about 3 of them, and the one I lost would have dwarfed those. And I added it up. I should have had somewhere around 36 pounds, and I was really. I hollered at Wendell. I said, "Baby, we're beating the record today. You know, we're taking it." But it didn't happen. But we got close.
So what if you got advice for anybody? My thing is follow your dreams.
Exactly.
And you sat in here 3 or 4 weeks ago. You kind of told guys your story. You're basically broke. Went and fished a tournament with last money you had. Yep. You won some money. And ever since then, you've really wanted to fish the Elite Series. Well, dude, there's a lot of people that has made the Elite Series that haven't made the Classic. And I hate to put pressure on you, but there's going to be a lot of people rooting for you because you represent the people that have a dream. Whether your dream is being a professional bass fisher or maybe you're in college and your dream is to be an engineer and you got student loans and you're working 3 jobs to get that job. Dreams do happen, and so what I'm saying is dream big and fish big.
That's right. If you're watching, I don't care if your dream's fishing, if it's hunting, or whatever it is. Concentrate on your dream. Put those secondary activities aside, and I promise you, the hard work will pay off. Nothing beats hard work, and I'm anybody that knows me knows I'm proof of that. And just never give up, man. I'm 32. I've been fishing tournaments since I was 11. I've been trying this for a long time. I got a lot of years, a lot of time, and just go after it, man, and never stop.
Yeah, the best thing I can say is, put your work in, too. I mean, that's one thing I'll say about Matt. I could be driving to work at Calvert or when I was working at the cabin, and I would see him every morning going to work, and his boat would be behind him. And then when I was going home and it was dark, I would see him coming off the water. I mean, every day. And I think anyone that's really successful in one thing, whether it's baseball, football, fishing, heck, poker, whatever, they put, like I said, there's secondary stuff, not your family, not your faith or anything.
No,
but
absolutely not.
He's not going to go sit on Xbox and play Call of Duty like I am. He's going to, if he has a bad day of practice, he's going to go figure it out the next day what exactly went wrong.
Yeah, I used to hunt a lot, and I actually found my hunting to be affecting my fishing a little bit. I thought about 4 or 5 years ago I quit hunting because I thought I'm spending almost 3 months of the year almost not fishing at all, and I'm spending it hunting, and I thought, if I put those 3 months into fishing, how much more can I excel at this? And one thing I can tell you, if you're interested in if your goal is to become a better fisherman, I will tell you one thing that I do that I think's a little different is whenever I go out there, I don't care if there's a tournament or not. The biggest thing I can tell you is go learn to find the fish. Don't go out there, know where a school is or know where some fish are and go catch them. Go out there and find new stuff every day.
And that's really tough.
Yeah, it is.
Because, and speaking of, someone asked, how bad is Kentucky Lake right now? Are you catching them or does everyone else just suck? And I think a lot of what's making it tough is guys are having to find new stuff because these fish are sitting in places they've not been in a long time.
That's
or
right.
ever.
It's Kentucky Lake, for example. I go out there, and just because you check a spot or find a spot and they're not there, the biggest thing about fishing is I can go out there and idle an area, and just because they're not there right now doesn't mean they're not going to be there in a couple months or they're not there this fall. Well, guess what? They may be there next fall. And it's an ongoing search, and never think that everything is found. I have heard so many times, and I'm about to, a lot of people ain't gonna agree with me. A lot of people say, "Hey, there's no secrets left."
There's a few.
I promise you. I know.
I'll tell you what shows
left.
more secrets than a depth finder is this right here.
That's right.
And if you got good fishing partners, or you have a close circle of 2 or 3 people, that stuff don't get out. But if you start taking everybody and their brother, and you start doing this, those few secrets, and I respect Matt. Matt's a good fisherman. He always tells me straight. He says, "Dude, take this purple worm and go fish brush piles in 10 feet." Bank on it. But he ain't gonna tell me where them brush piles are. He's gonna make me go do my homework. And I could tell Matt, "Hey, this is what we're catching them on," but I'm not gonna give him a spot. And that kind of makes it a even playing field. And that's just respect for fishermen. If me and Matt go fishing, he may take me somewhere, and if he says, "Don't," "Hey, I don't want you ever coming back," I ain't ever going back, and I'm not telling anybody I fish with, because he put his homework in. And that's that was always some guys I fished with hang up fishing ABAs and BFLs. Like, man, I don't want my comb angler showing people these brush piles I put out. And that's a legit concern.
Yeah, it is.
But if you want to fish with the big guys, you're just going to have to kind of get over that.
Yeah, if you want to really fish, I struggled with that. I didn't want to, that 33.5 pound sack.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I called my buddy Kevin Tidwell. He's he passed away a few years ago, and I called him at 2:30 in the morning, and I said, "Dude, I don't know if I can go," because I knew nothing against him. The guy that was fishing with me was part of a bunch of real good friends with the guys down south, and I knew I was on a decent bag of fish. I didn't know I was going to weigh that in. Man, just go out there and fish and give it up. I'm not telling you give away your secret spots to everybody or your best spots, but I'm telling you, if you want to excel, you're going to have to sacrifice some. And I'm going to tell you something. This past week, it's killed my soul to sacrifice some stuff. But Andy Crawford taking pictures for Bassmasters, I'm going to tell you, he got some pictures of some baits, buddy.
Yes, he did. He did. I mean, I'll be honest, it's kind of, if you've seen a Scottsboro swim bait, it's pretty easy to spot one.
Yeah, it is.
And Andy did a good job, and as soon as I seen it, I said, yeah, it's a Scottsboro. What color was it? Was it bass whacker shad?
No, I was throwing Old Smoky. I'll show you all the bait. That's it right there. It's a little unorthodox looking. It's not your standard swim bait. It doesn't look like you could draw a smiley face on it. And, man, guys, I'm telling you, this is the real deal. This is a 6-inch. I throw this a lot. I also throw the 7-inch. And, in the right scenarios, I throw the smaller ones. So,
give me those little 3 inches up.
Check them out, guys. This is the real deal. I'm not pulling your leg. Go look at the pictures on Bassmaster.com. You will see this bait on the end of my line, in big fish mouth.
So this is the size I kind of like. This is the new little 3-inch. So if you guys that like to A-rig or throw the finesse swim baits on ball heads, this is killer. And you might want to take some of these to Loudon. You tell Tim
that may be something I need to take down there. They may be a pretty good bait, but
this also might be a Magnum jank crappie bait.
Hey guys,
tell them about the swim baits for crappie.
I like to crappie fish a lot, and Tyler Martin. Tyler Martin, buddy, he knows all about it. He didn't believe me at first. Yeah. We went out there, and I throw a 3.8-inch Kitech to crappie fish with on a 1/4-ounce jig head. So I promise you, this bait right here, if you're crappie fishing, get you some of them, try them. They will catch big crappie.
That looks just like a minnow too.
Yeah, it does. It's phenomenal looking bait.
But Scottsboro Tackle Company, they're awesome people. They're just a local business and whatnot. And I try not to give out too many guys secrets. And y'all know I love those swim baits. But people will be like, "Hey man, what's Matt catching them on?" I'm just like, he's throwing swim bait. I won't get real specific or anything. But
well, if y'all want the secret, there it is. For the past 4 or 5 years, there's been thousands of dollars won on that bait on Kentucky Lake.
Well, I can tell you this: there wasn't a lot of places that even carried them here until the last year and a half. So
Yep.
somebody was making some calls to Alabama or getting some secret tackle warehouse shipments.
They actually, I think they might have looked up my name and they seen a nice big, about $500 orders of them. So
Yeah. Well, speaking of crappie fishing, other than the swim bait, do you crappie fish like you do bass fish? Do you just try to catch the biggest ones, or are you trying to get something to eat and catch the most?
no, man. Whenever we go crappie fishing, I like to catch big crappie. Whenever I took Tyler, we were catching 30, and every one of them, I know this is hard to believe, every one of them was between 15 and 19 inches long. We were catching giant crappie.
Let's see. What's your all-time favorite go-to bait?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to say swim bait. I know there's a lot of variations of swim baits. A swim bait or a spinner bait.
This is a good question. From Michael Lanning. He's from High Rock Lake, North Carolina, famous lake. What is your opinion on when to throw the swim bait versus the crankbait versus a Carolina rig?
Man, I'm gonna say swim baits always excel in cooler water. So right now, I believe would be a good time for you to try the swim baits pre-spawn. If the fish move out post-spawn, you can throw them. That's the great thing about swim baits is there's so many different variations. Whenever they come up shallow, you can throw glide baits. You can throw a belly hook around the grass. A swim bait is not. It's more versatile than people give it credit for. They look at it as such a single-dimensional bait, and it's something that you can throw year-round. There's not a time I don't have one tied on.
You said it really good last time you're on here. Swim bait is really like crankbait fishing.
It is.
I can look around me right here, and here's a Catching Concepts. This is a custom-made flat side. Well, that's totally different than the deep dive in Little John, and then those are different than, say, this 6 Sense movement. Same concept, but there's so many different designs and variables that you can make one bait fish many different ways.
That's right.
Not every swim bait is the same. Not every crankbait is the same. Some are designed for shallow water. Some are for deep water. Some are for finesse fishing. Some are for trophy fishing. And you got to go out there and really play with them all and kind of tune it up.
Yeah, it's like, I'll give you an example. Is like the Shadowlicious swim bait.
Right.
One of the first ones to come out. First time I saw them, I bought them. It's like crankbait. They have a wide roll, man. They really rock side to side. These Scottsburls, which I really like, they have a tighter wobble. I'd say more of a little more natural swim to them. That's the difference,
All right, Jimmy Dublin, my good friend from over in Mayfield. What's the best reel speed for a big swim bait?
7-1 to 1, 7-4 to 1. I throw a quantum magnesium.
You don't have a reel sponsor, do you?
I don't have a reel sponsor, so
let's get this guy some reels. So
I need some reels.
Luz, Shimano, Daiwa is watching. Hook this guy up. He's fishing the Bassmaster Classic. I think he'll be on them, and you might get your reels on TV.
That's right.
All right, let's go. Oh, Wendell's joined us. What's up, Wendell
Wendell?
Anderson? When do you pick up a jig or soft plastic? I know you say you're not a dragger, but you've won some tournaments when it's flipping time.
I have, and I will tell you, I do. Even whenever it comes to jig fishing, I do some more unorthodox things. I'll throw you one out there. Whenever I'm flipping bushes, I flip an 1.5 ounce jig.
Yeah. Super fast fall. Don't give them time
I'm
to
not
look at it.
flipping your standard 1/2 ounce jig that everybody else is. It's a big grass jig. It's 1.5 ounces. It's for punching, and I have a big full size trailer on the back, like a beaver or something.
Where's that? Someone just sent me.
Oh yeah, this double weed guard jig. I was telling Kevin about it. It'd be great for flipping bushes because you're not going to get hung up.
This jig was sent to me by Advantage. It's from Advantage Bait Company. It's got a big double weed guard, kind of like that Medlock style. This is a 1 ounce jig. It's got the rattles in the back of it. It's kind of got this built-in little trailer. You could take those off if you want to. These are pretty sweet. They just sent me a bunch of stuff. But me and Matt were talking. I really like that double weed guard. But again, This is a big, heavy jig. This is designed to go through heavy cover and fast.
Yep. One of the flipping jig I use is it's a Strike King. I think it's a Hack Attack jig, and man, it's like I said. I think whenever in certain situations, I look at it a little differently. Even jig fishing, worm fishing. I mean, I'm always trying to get a reaction.
Right. Let's see. I thought I had a couple more questions. What line do you use with a swim bait? I think Matt said 20 pounds.
Sunline fluorocarbon.
Sunline. What state do you fish for crappie in the most?
Kentucky, man, right here. I put the boat in at Kentucky Dam Marina, and I'm actually hard pressed to crank the motor sometimes.
I was going to say, you can get on some of them Ray Bargy brush piles in there and load them up. Okay, let's say you do good in the Classic. Are you going to go fish the Elite Series?
If they give me, I'm fishing the Opens this year. If I qualify for the Elite Series, I will. If the opportunity presents itself to fish the Elite Series, most definitely you'll see me there.
JoJo Norwood says, look up Oldham jigs. I like those Oldham flipping jigs. Matter of fact, you know, I love Strike King, but I'm going to be honest with you here. That Hack Attack jig is their version of the Oldham's trailer hitch jig.
I haven't ever seen it.
But you know, I'm not knocking Strike King at all. I totally get it. There's so many people that don't even know who Terry Oldham is, and he made one of the best spinner baits ever for ledge fishing out here, the cantaloupe spinner bait. But, you know, sometimes those are one of those things, guys didn't ever talk about it. The guys that knew about it, they'd buy those jigs up, and, you know, obviously Strike King knew that, and they made their style version of it. And, hey, I like the Hack Attack jig. But, I would like to see you do whatever. I hope you do good enough that Boyd Duckett, Kelly Jordan call you and say, hey, man, you want to come do some Major League fishing? You're the only guy that just catches giant sacks on the Elite Series, so we need that, you know, to eliminate some of these small fish. But anybody else? Okay, Darren Downey, what jig head do you use with the swim baits?
I use some Scottsboro Tackle Company jig heads. I also use a Revenge head. In the 7-inch swim baits, I throw a 7/0 hook. I know that's a pretty big hook. In the 6-inch, I throw a 5/0. I know that's a big difference. If you check out the two swim baits, you'll kind of see why. I know it's only an inch, but it's a lot bigger profile. And the biggest advice I can give you all on swim baits, soft swim baits, is whatever you do, whenever you thread that swim bait on there, make sure it is straight. If it is not straight, it is imperative. Take it off, throw it away, cut your losses, get another one. I did it. I threw away a couple swim baits down in Florida just because I threaded it on there.
Right.
I pulled the hook out. I like it's got to be perfect. So,
yeah. I'm the same way. I don't know. I've went through almost a whole pack of bass tricks before, and it's really hard if you mess one up on a screw lock. If you're fishing real shallow, and I like to throw like a 6-inch bass tricks on a beast hook around shallow cover like you throw a spinnerbait. But if you get that off center, it's done for on a hollow belly. You might as well just throw it away. And that's something I don't tell people a lot, but getting it straight on there matters. And I'm the world's worst at getting in a hurry, and I look down, I'm like, oh crap. But it's like a crankbait. You got to tune them. Let's see.
I know a decent question there.
Let's see. Do you use any scent on your baits?
If they're eating it, no. If they're not eating it, I do keep a can of the pink smelly jelly laying in a compartment just in case. I know it's funny, but I have put it on there before. John
Hensley says, what about necessity jigs?
Man, I'm more of a Strike King guy. You know, I like the Strike King jigs. Their structure jig, their flipping jig. I grew up throwing the Bitsy flip. It's one of the baddest jigs I've ever thrown.
Yeah, I mean, the necessity jigs are good jigs, too. They're made here locally. I like them.
I will tell you this. Whenever it comes to any baits or anything, man, fish what you're confident with.
Right.
Just because I'm catching them on a Strike King doesn't mean you're not going to catch them on a necessity jig. It's all what you have confidence in. Man, you need to focus on what you're doing and the success you're having, and not the success other people are having. You know.
Let's see. Josh Herding wants to know, have you tried the Babe?
I have. And I think the Babe is a great swim bait. I like it for shallow water fishing. I mean, I'm talking, I'm going to say 4 or 5 feet or less. I mean, it's a great bait. And that's one, that's one of those things, the Scottsboro, you can belly hook and throw it shallow. You can throw it deep. But I think that Babe, the way it swims, it's made to have a slower swim. And
it's made to creep.
Yeah, it's made to creep, and that's why it excels in shallow water.
Right. It's really good suspended fish in that higher water column.
Yeah, that's why they make them with the the harness in them.
Right. Again, just like crankbaits, different places, different ways to fish them all. Let's see here. We had a few more questions flying in. What is your favorite balsa bait?
Bagley's DB3, man, a lot of people don't throw them anymore. They're hard to find. I really like them black and yellow DB3s, and man, we've cashed a lot of checks on those.
Oh yeah. All right, this one you may not can answer. When do you pick up a drop shot?
Man, not very often. If I was going to a place where drop shot techniques, if I was going up north to smallmouth fish, I would throw a drop shot. Like I said, you have to fish I believe you have to fish your strength to win. Drop shotting and finesse fishing is not my strength, so they may be catching 20 pounds on it, and I'm probably not going to do it. I will figure out a way to catch them.
Brad McClure, yes, that's correct. Old Smoky was the color.
And I also like a natural light.
I like natural light as well.
It has like a faint chartreuse in it. Those are the main 2 colors I throw. There's the natural light. It's an awesome color. I know you guys gotta like that. Those are my main 2 colors. I don't get crazy with swim bait colors. I keep it pretty natural.
That's something guys always ask me, is like, what color swim bait? And I'm like, shad. And shad could be Old Smoky, natural light, whatever you're confident in. Now they do eat those chartreuse blue ones.
They will. They will. I've thrown the chartreuse blue ones, and like I said, it's whatever you got confidence in.
Right. Well, what time we got? Eric Sharp's been our timekeeper. Eric's a good guy. 6:52. Been up here almost an hour. Oh, there's old Coach Chumbler in there. He called me when he's down for. I'll tell a story on you, Coach. He called me and said, "Boy, you watching what that Matt Robertson's doing? I think he's going to win this thing." This was Saturday morning. I said, "Yeah, man, I'm watching on Bass Track." And he's the one that asked me, he said, "You need to figure out why he's got that 1 ounce head on that swim bait down here in Florida." So, Coach Chumler's a great guy. He's coached some really good basketball teams through the years, and he's treated me very, very well. And he is a good fisherman down there. In Kentucky Lake, Billy Chumler's a stick.
Yeah.
I got to fish a tournament with him one time, and he always tells a story. He gave me an NRX rod. Loomis had just come out in the Shimano Core, and we're fishing the Jetta Marina tournament. And it was the year, like, if you didn't catch 20 pounds, you weren't in the top 50. Yep. And he handed it to me, and I caught about a 3-pounder, and he goes, "How'd that feel?" And I go, "I could feel him fart on it, Coach." But I always enjoyed talking to old Coach Chumbler, and he had some of the best basketball teams ever, especially with the Cairo and Paducah Tillman. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about while you're on here, Matt?
I just want to thank everybody for following me. After I got done with the tournament, I was on Facebook and I was looking, and it was very flattering. I seen posts where he's got 18. He's up to 21, and you guys don't know what that means to me. It means a lot, and I can't thank you enough.
Well, dude, I really appreciate you coming on the show here. Before we leave, I'm going to show you guys quickly how this little guy right here works. So this is the RTD. If you don't know, I'm going to hit, I better watch, I don't want to hit Matt in the head. First thing you're going to do before you thread your line, you need to hit your button on your reel. But this little device, it has a little bobby pin right here. This is like on your drop shot cylinder. You'll take your line, you run it right through that pin, and you just kind of pull it tight there. And then you line the RTD up with the guide on your rod, and you'll hear that click. You see that? and then your rod is nice and strong instantly. So it does not work with micro guides, but the RTD works really good with like this dial with tool, your standard guide series rods. Now there's different little adapters here that you can swap out. If you got a rod that's got some really wide guides, you can take this little piece here out and you can stick this one in there and adapt over for bigger guides. One thing Kelly Jordan want me to let you guys know about this RTD is these little teeth here, they only flex one way. So you want to make sure the drop shot is on the blue side and your pin always face up toward the clear side. So if you try to force it the opposite way, you will break this. These are $29.99. They're on the website eruptfishing.com. If you order between now and the 16th of December, you will get yours for Christmas. This is a really, really neat thing. I'm going to donate mine to Jeff Defew because he's almost blind as a bat. And, dude, it's one thing to net a guy's fish and cull his fish, but, dude, to have to tie his baits on in the middle of a tournament, it's kind of embarrassing sometimes. So, Jeff, when you get a chance, I got to make a nice YouTube video about this. You can come by the house, you can grab this RTD. This is probably, it looks so simple, and it took me a little bit to get the hang of it. But this is an awesome product. And I know some guys say, well, it's a limit. There's not really a market for that. Man, I'm telling you, there's a market. You don't have to be because you can't see, but if you figure out how to put this, the only thing is getting it on this drop shot thing, but that's pretty quick. That's why I say if they had a little LED light on it for your night fishermen, you click that button, that'd be awesome. Your crappie guys that like to run spider rigs, how quick could you line up a bunch of spider rigs with this RTD? Just going around, click, 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 click. It convinced me, and I think this is actually a cool product. I've seen a couple knockoffs out there, but you got to respect the original. And just head over to eruptfishing.com. Let them know the Baitman sent you. I'm going to actually do a step-by-step how-to video for YouTube. I'm going to get some time off. I don't have to work overtime this weekend.
Good, good.
Unfortunately, he's going to be in Knoxville, so he can't take me fishing. And I can't go because no info.
Yeah, no info.
They said don't take Baxter. He knows too much about Knoxville. So, but guys, we appreciate the support. I'll get my Jank store fixed. Matt, tell them about the hats.
The hats
it's
are
in the
coming,
work.
guys.
It's in the work.
It's in the works. It's a process, and it won't be much longer, hopefully. And hopefully we'll have.
We're gonna get some shirts too.
Yeah, we're gonna have hats and shirts.
That's right. See, on them Janks. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Baitman Show again. We're gonna change things up. So after Christmas, it'll be known as the Baitcast. I'm going to get me a couple webcams and a microphone, and I'm going to have to navigate that for a little bit. I might teach Sharp. He's been guarding my bait shed out here. He's a really good guy, too. He's a high school coach for Ohio County. And he's had some really good fishing teams, and he's actually a very good role model for those guys, and totally respect what he does, taking those guys out, fishing them, showing them the right way. And great guy, big time Matt supporter, and man, congratulations!
Thank you,
Bassmaster Classic qualifier. It felt cool to shake that guy's hand. So, guys, I'm gonna jump off here. My wife actually brought us some food, so we're gonna eat. And tune in next week. We'll have a little pre-Christmas show because, man, I've got a lot of stuff I got to show you guys that's come in that's new that y'all need to see. And I've kind of been slacking, and we'll start back with Tackle Tuesday on YouTube. Thanks again, guys. Be sure to share the video. And thanks for Renegade Marine, Triton Boats, and Scottsboro Tackle Company for taking care of this guy.
Thanks, guys.